Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well today. Today I have a mind-blowing upload full of terrifying encounters, very interesting information, and a video clip that, well, I'm not really too sure of. Actually, I'm sure, but I want to see how you guys feel. Before we get into it, a couple links. As you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, and the merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Links to Patreon and PayPal are in the description below. The merch is displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They all were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes. Links to which are also in the description as well. Finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support this channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It doesn't cost a cent. Click that like button. It takes half a second. If you don't want to miss out on any of the informative and exciting uploads I put out daily, click that bell icon, and folks, please leave a comment. Why? Well, because all these things, they really do help this channel to continue to grow and go, and they do matter. Now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's jump into today's upload, shall we? Today's first encounter. From 1998 to 2001, I lived in a small craftsman-styled home in the Laurel Mountains of Pennsylvania, not too far from Frank Lloyd Wright's Falling Water. The home had a twin next door that was built at the same time. By the time we bought our place, the one next door had been remodeled and expanded so extensively that it was unrecognizable. The story goes that the property belonged to two brothers, and the brother whose house ended up getting a makeover had two sons. Here's the fishy part, which I personally don't buy. Our neighbor in the other house told us the two boys were werewolves. I didn't know this part of the story until my husband told me later on, after we had both experienced some strange things, which I will elaborate on in a moment. When he told my husband about this, he invited him in for a tour of his home. During the tour, he pulled back the carpet to show my husband a stone pentagram, which was built into the slate of the foyer floor. Another fact that was not relayed to me until later. A month or so had passed, and we got a really sweet rescue dog, a Sheltie. She was perfectly friendly, normal, and protective over my 7-year-old daughter. But over the following months, she started doing some strange things. I'd get up in the middle of the night to find her growling down the stairs at something. During the day, as I was watching television or working in my studio, I'm an artist, she would stand between me and the doorway to the dining room and growl for an inordinate amount of time. Over the months, she began to get a little unpredictable. She would wet on the carpet, which she had never done up until that point, and eventually she bit me. By that point, I was pregnant and scared to have a biting dog around the baby, so I took her to the SPCA. During my pregnancy, I started sleeping in another room away from my husband. He snored like a freight train, and it was hard enough to get rest being big and pregnant. One night, I woke to something crawling up from the foot end of the bed over my feet and legs. I couldn't see anything, and I was so terrified I couldn't even scream. I was able to put a hand up and grab the headboard. This was an old rickety double bed my mother-in-law had given us for our spare bedroom, and I slammed it against the wall repeatedly. With that noise, I was finally able to scream, and whatever was on my legs disappeared. I ran to the hall to find my husband running to meet me. He asked me what had happened, and I didn't know what to say. That winter, a few months after the baby was born, I was sleeping in that room with the baby, who was in a crib. My mother was visiting, and we all had been enjoying the evening. Sitting in front of our fireplace, the whole house was warm and toasty when we went to bed late that night, probably midnight. At about 2 in the morning, I woke up to the baby screaming, and when I tried to get up, I was so ice cold I could barely move. My mom and husband heard the baby screaming and came into the room to see what was wrong. My husband said, "Why the hell is it so cold in here?" The door was open the whole time. My mom took the baby out of the room and my husband helped me out to the hallway beyond the open door, and the hallway and the rest of the house was still toasty and warm. Thank God we ended up moving that following summer. But before we did, my husband said he had talked to the neighbor about our experiences. And he said, oh yeah, the two werewolf boys' father had killed them, and then himself, and the boys' ghosts roamed the two properties. Today's second experience is a subscriber submission. Hey Jeff, I'd like to share with you some local Louisiana lore. Have you ever been to a swamp or a bayou? How about a sugarcane field or another farm? If you have, did you feel safe there? And if you haven't, would you? For people growing up in Louisiana, these types of places are not uncommon. They can easily be the scene of a relaxing picnic spent staring up at the sky, or a favorite spot for your children to run and play. But some people swear by avoiding them. They say they sense a danger in them that most people just don't. And while they may seem paranoid, they're actually right. You see, Louisiana's woods and wetlands are bright and lively during the day. And their beauty really is second to none. Running through a sugarcane field with friends till you get lost is otherworldly, especially with the cool breeze blowing over you. I'd say everyone who can experience these things should do so at least once in their lives. Once the sun goes down, though, it's a different story. The reason you don't want to go to a sugarcane field at night is simple. If you do, you may meet the Rougarou. I know most people haven't heard the Rougarou, so let me explain the Rougarou in a way that properly conveys the utter terror you should feel at the thought of meeting it. It's a monster in every sense of the word, born of a vindictive priestess voodoo ritual, and cursed to be a slave to demonic passions for 101 days, or until it can pass its cure off to whichever poor soul is unlucky enough to cross its path. It's a bit like what you would call a werewolf, but far worse. While werewolves transform during the full moon, the Rougarou chooses to transform, both to and from his accursed state, and can do so at any time during the night. When he transforms, his size doubles and triples. With his size comes incredible strength, enough to send a man flying with one uncaring blow. Thick black claws shoot out from his hands to cut and tear away flesh and bone, and their teeth become like pikes, ready to sink into the deepest sinews of the victim. Its jaw is like iron when it bites. It won't let go no matter what type of fight you put up. Its skin thickens and darkens until it's tough as a bear's, and from every corner of its body shoots a thick white fur, ghostly in color. An omen that taunts whoever sees it. Its nose and eyes are as black as night, even to the sclera, and all around them, a contrast which makes its white as snow teeth all the more terrifying when it lunges at you in night's total darkness. Its speed's ungodly, making even the most experienced hunter fumble like a child. So as soon as you see this, you're already dead. Unlike werewolves, the Rougarou can stand and run on 2 legs and has 5 fingers and toes on each hand and foot, and unlike werewolves who lose their minds and intelligence, the Rougarou retains its, at least partially, which is why it's known to transform back into a human to lure victims at night. When it bites you, there are 2 possibilities. Either it kills you and eats you, not necessarily in that order, to satisfy its demonic cravings, or it lets you live to take on its curse. Either way, your life, as you knew it, is now over. It may seem insurmountable, and it is. Only a fool would try and meet the Rougarou, but though it can scarcely be killed, it can be avoided. The same transformation that gives it its inhuman strength, speed, and durability limits its mind. Its bloodlust, demonic in nature and more ravenous than any wolf, is evident of this. The Rougarou only glaring weakness is its inability to count past 12. Groups of objects numbered 13 or more confuse the Rougarou, who, due to its animalistic compulsions, will attempt to count them until something breaks its focus, such as the sunrise, which it fears. If you do manage to trap a Rougarou in such a trap, stay inside and you'll be safe for the night. When the sun comes up, it will flee. Its cover is gone. Whatever you do, do not attempt to kill it in its daze. If any noise breaks the creature's concentration, it'll return its focus to you, and with its speed and ferocity, at which point it's a matter of whether you shoot it dead before it tears you apart. Some have succeeded in doing so, many others have not. As a human, the Rougarou's weaknesses are more useful. From the second it's cursed, the Rougarou develops a craving for raw meat, a craving which ultimately accumulates it to biting human flesh. The satanic deed that consummates its curse and completes its transformation. While in human form, the Rougarou will usually be reclusive, sneaking off to eat its raw meals alone and hiding its evil, even from its family. It uses this seclusion to its advantage, picking solitary targets for whose death it knows it won't be blamed for. As they say in Louisiana, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So, if you see someone being antisocial or eating raw meat, especially if it happens all of a sudden, you should avoid them. And if anyone ever tries to get you to go to the fields or the woods or swamp with them alone at night, never go. If you suspect someone of being the Rougarou, don't let them know. Otherwise, you can find yourself in danger. Just warn your family and loved ones and give them the same advice. Fortify your home with groups of 13 or more items. Get a gun, but pray you'll never have to use it. Make sure to get a large enough round to kill it with one shot, something like a 30-06, 12 gauge, or 44 Magnum. When you kill a Rougarou, its body will stay in its grotesque form, meaning no one will accuse you of murder. This is one of the two ways to get rid of the Rougarou. Admittedly, it's the rarest way. The more common way is to outlast the creature. The Rougarou can rid itself of its curse by biting another person without killing them, something its bloodlust makes it hard to do. However, if 101 days go by and the Rougarou has neither died nor passed on its curse, the curse will be lifted, and humanity will return to the beast. Its cravings for flesh will disappear, and its scheming mind will scheme no more. Still, scars will remain. The Rougarou may never be able to function in society again, and few people will trust it, if they have suspicions. If you do manage to kill the Rougarou who bites you before they die, the curse passes on to you. At this point, their body will revert to human form, and the 101-day cycle will begin anew. So there you have it. While the woods and wetlands of Louisiana may be beautiful and serene in the daytime, they're the last place you want to be at night. Make sure to stay far away from them, lest you meet the Rougarou and your end. Jeff, I myself have never seen a Rougarou, but my grandmother and my great-grandparents all have said they had. I truly believe that these creatures exist, and I say creatures even though they have human form. When they transform, they turn into a creature. Please stay safe, and thank you for all you do. God bless. And the next part of the upload is a video that I would like you guys to see. It's been kicking around for a little while now. People are claiming this is a Dogman. And, well, I'm going to let you watch the video, and then I'm going to share with you my thoughts on this juvenile Dogman. All right, so it is a very interesting video. I will give it that. Now, the other day, or about a week ago, I looked at the video, or excuse me, the photo from a video that apparently no longer exists per the Amarillo Zoo, of the air quotes creature outside of their fence, outside of their zoo. And, well, for me, I debunked it. I believe I debunked it. And I don't buy this video either. Now, some people may say, Jeff, what are you doing? Why are you turning on the community like this? This is unbelievable footage. This is amazing. God, how can you not see that this is a juvenile Dogman or a Dogman or whatnot? Well, when I watched the video first, I will admit I was intrigued, I guess. But then I watched the video a couple different more times and started looking at little details in the video itself. Now, with this video, I find it fascinating that whoever shared the video never let anyone know where it came from. And when people see a video like this, and it's titled Dogman, they immediately think that it's a film or that it comes from the States. I actually had 10 subscribers I showed 10 random subscribers that I picked randomly and showed them all this video and asked them where they thought it was from. And all 10 said the States. Surprisingly enough, guys, the video is from Australia. It's interesting how the title, or there is no mention of the video coming from Australia. What's in Australia but kangaroos? Now, that being said, if you look at the video and toward the end, you can see the ear or ears move. They're very large and upright. The surprisingly long kind of fingers. And someone may say, wait, Jeff, this thing has claws. Well, if you do a kangaroo human hand comparison, the kangaroo paw or hand has 5 claws or 5 fingernail-like claws. And it is as large as a human's hand with 5 digits. So that right there is the elongated claw-like hands. The kangaroo clearly has mange. I will include a picture of a kangaroo with mange. I will include a picture of a hand and kangaroo paw or hand comparison. And next, and I know this is odd, but the testicles that this little roo is sitting on. If you've heard the Dogman experiences where the genitalia is explained, the genitalia is monstrous. Now, kangaroos do, when bouncing or on a hot day, they hang low. But if the animal is sick, they will shrink up and look like what this creature is sitting on, or kangaroo is sitting on. These are just observations that I've made while watching the video and looking up all of the observations I caught. When I watched the video, I sat with a notepad and pen and wrote down interesting things and Googled those things. And then I looked at the surrounding plant life, this and that. So my theory and my observation of this creature is that it is a kangaroo with mange. So once again, people may say, Jeff, why are you doing this? This is the second video or second thing that you've kind of wanted to debunk. And there are actually a lot of other videos that I'd like to debunk, like the one that is from a movie called, Arga de Lobos. But this, let's just stay on to this, this video for now. The reason why I'm doing this is because it is videos like this that come out and that someone sees who is a zoologist or, whatnot, can clearly debunk it and make us look like fools, which we are not. We're already looked at like we have two heads because we know and believe, or we believe and know, however you want to put those two words together. I know for a fact, because I saw one, that these creatures exist on Earth. But because we know or believe these things exist on Earth, we are looked at like we have two heads. We are laughed at. And then people put these videos up and claim they are dogmen. And it doesn't do the community any good, actually. What it does is it does more harm than good. It really does, because then we're laughed at even more. And then it's like the people will say, hey, if they believe that, what won't they believe? This is truly, truly a kangaroo with mange. It is sick and dying. Now, I know some people will be like, no, that's Dogman. Okay, if that's what you want to believe, then believe that. But I myself am not. We have to be careful on the videos and photos that we look at. I've seen photos that someone says there's a dog man in the photo. And if you look at the photo, break it down, use some really good computer imaging or software to break down these photos, all they are is pareidolia, which is, everybody suffers from it occasionally. These things are elusive. They exist, but they're elusive. But it's videos like this and other photos like the Amarillo, Texas one that really do more harm than good. And I think that it's time to really break these videos down, pictures down, look at them, examine them almost through a microscope, like I did with this video. Like that bush that it's in front of is an aniseed myrtle. They only grow in Australia. So I don't know. I don't know if this will make up people upset, but I know that this is my breakdown of this video, and I call hoax. There's a video that there's a dog man. It looks like it's on a medical table, breathing. It's from a movie called Arga de Lobos or whatever. And it's things like that that really, really cause more harm than good. So I'm sorry if I offend anyone with this, but I just think that if we want our community to be taken seriously, we can't just accept random BS. And if we do, we at least have the courtesy to look at them and really examine them and break them down and try to debunk them. Like ghost hunters. What do ghost hunters do? A true ghost hunter will debunk. And what he can't debunk, or what they cannot debunk, they then will... it then will be qualified as a haunting. And I think that's what we should do with this. We need to be taken serious. These things have existed. We know they exist. We know UFOs exist. It was only 20 years ago when people were laughed at because they believed in UFOs. And now the government is telling us straight up they exist. Anyway, let's move on. And once again, if I offended anybody, I apologize. And tonight's third experience. I'm half Navajo. For years, I lived my life on the Navajo Nation res in a small town called Shiprock in New Mexico. My Native American side of my family always warned us to be careful at night. My grandparents would always tell me stories of shape-shifting witches who could curse you, kill you, or mess with you. They called them skinwalkers because they would take the skin of dead animals and wear them to change into an animal or something in between a human and an animal, not a werewolf. I never believed in it, really. I'm only half Navajo and light-skinned, so I was never treated the same by most people here, so I drifted away from the culture and thought it wasn't for me. So if you are a skeptic, that's fine. I was also until I came face to face with things I cannot explain. So it was around summer this happened when I was in high school, about 6 to possibly 8 years ago. I would have been 15 to 17 then. I used to hang out with a group of guys who liked to do a lot of delinquent type stuff. You know, smoke cigs, stay up all night, all the guys playing video games at somebody's house. Then at 3 a.m., if we felt like it, we would go and sneak out to Paradise. I know it sounds like an ironic name. It's basically a giant metal pipe that carries irrigation water to all the farms. But really, it was also a spot for kids to drink or get high in the evenings. However, the place did have a scary history of kids and adults who drowned or died in the night, but I always thought those were urban legends. At 3 in the morning, that was our time. We as boys would test one another to cross this pipe, sort of an initiation to see how far you could go. We usually could go all the way across. Now keep in mind, the pipe goes well over 3 stories high, and it's also wide. I'd say it's as wide as an average car, and we would walk this thing for kicks in a group of 9 at 3 in the morning. So one morning, me and my small group of friends were driving around bored at 2 a.m. wanting to spook each other. So I said, let's go to Paradise and walk the pipe, as most of these friends I was hanging out with had never done anything like that. They agreed to get pumped up on energy drinks, and we drove out there. It was quite quiet. The sky was dark and the night was cold. The boys with me were Michael, Cordy, Tommy, and Theral. Now, Theral was the driver because he had the car and his family were pretty well off, so he really never had to worry about cash. We got to the place and he didn't want to go, said his parents were traditional, and he wanted just to chill in the car. Basically, he wanted to text some chick, I'm sure, without us bugging him. I told him it's fine to keep the car locked and running in case we see something scary. Then me and the other boys went on without him. I remembered we noticed a sheep or a goat skin placed flat off to the right, just as we were starting to get on the pipe. We all noticed it looked strange, and I remember someone commenting it looked like a ritual sacrifice. Michael said something about a pentagram, but I wasn't sure if he was just joking or serious. But I thought they were just trying to scare each other. As we got onto the pipe, a few of the guys were scared and asked me to take the lead. As we crawled, I'd say a quarter of the way on the pipe, talking and laughing. I noticed a faint whitish or light gray bat bigger than my head flying around us. It dived for us a few times. We dodged it. But then Tommy slipped because of his Converse and almost fell off the pipe. I reached out to grab him, grabbing his right arm. Michael had grabbed my shirt collar and Cordy had grabbed onto him. All together, we got back onto the pipe, shaken that we had almost lost Tommy into the dark depths below. Suddenly, the bat was gone. We were all freaked out, but the guys wanted to continue. We laughed about it, as guys do, thinking, wow, that was weird. We passed the halfway point of the pipe with no problems, but as we got 3/4 of the way, Michael saw something. You see, at the end of the pipe, there is a hill. Behind that hill, it is very brightly lit because of a church somewhere off in the distance. Anyway, on that hill, there was a black figure with pointed ears. A dog silhouette. Now, Michael was a tough guy, and he yelled at the thing, saying, "I'm not scared of you." Then he tossed a few rocks in his pocket. One rock hit the pipe. The shadow silhouette dog stood up on 2 legs like a person. We were all freaked out, jaws dropped. Then Cordy said, "Look at another one to the left." Tommy said, "There's another to the right." So 3 silhouettes of pointed dog-eared people on the hill. I told them to back up so we could get back to the car. The things to the right and left of the hill started to move down the hill towards us. Now there's just one standing guard on that hill. The one who stood first. Now we are trying to get back, but we are about 45 minutes away, under us in complete darkness. It was quiet for a few minutes. Then we started to hear a girl crying. It sounded like she was hurt or scared, almost in pain. We were overcome with a strange feeling of wanting to help. Michael wanted to go back toward the end and crawl down and help the girl. I almost followed. Inside, I was like, no, this is wrong. Something's not right. So I yelled at him, and everyone's saying, "Are you all stupid? Look at that thing up there on the hill. Did you not see those things? It's a trap. Screw the fake crying. If that girl is hurt, we'll come back when the sun's up in 2 hours and check." Now, that moment I said that, the crying stopped. All the guys freaked out, saying they can't believe what came over them. They said they almost forgot what they'd just seen. Halfway on the pipe now, and we hear a native drum being played like a powwow. We start running on this pipe. 1/3 almost to the car. Cordy stops us. We can all hear it. It sounded like a pack of snarling, growling, yelping coyotes. But it's pitch dark below. We know they are under us. We run full speed, not looking back to the car, and yell drive and haul ass on that dirt road back to that well-lit gas station, and explained what happened to Therrell. We couldn't get the girls crying out of our heads, and we went back in daylight just to make sure. We didn't find a girl. Instead, in the area, we listened to different kinds of crying. The sound was a whimper. Then, out of the brush, we saw a coyote watching us. It was so close and unafraid of us, it wasn't shy. I yelled at it, "You guys see that? That's the girl that was crying. She probably transformed. It's one of them." I then asked the coyote, "You're a skinwalker, aren't you?" It just looked at us for a couple seconds, dead in the eye, totally calm, and walked back into the brush. We all agreed how unnatural that was for a coyote. We didn't go back there after that. Tonight's final encounter. This happened when I was 8. I was sleeping with my mom in her room because my dad worked the night shift. It was a warm summer night, so we had the windows open. Our house was right next to the woods. I remember waking up to a piercing scream of what sounded like maybe a bobcat or some other similar animal. My mom and I both bolted upright at the sound, and a second later my older sister darted into the room and jumped on the bed. Then we hear Wyatt screaming. Whatever had hold of this animal was big, and it was snorting and chewing as this animal it was killing screamed for its life. Now I've done a lot of reflecting as an adult on this night, and it's still a topic that pops up when we're talking about crazy stuff. The only way I can describe the sounds is it's similar to a big boar snorting the way it did. The power behind the snorts made me think it was a bear or something with a massive lung capacity. After about a minute of sitting frozen on the bed, we made our way to the window to peek outside and see if we could catch a glimpse of what the hell was eating this animal. We couldn't see anything in the darkness of the woods, but we could hear clear as day the chomping of the predator and snapping of bones of its prey. It was just past the tree line, maybe 20 yards away, but it was so loud it could have been directly below the window, and it lasted a solid 10 minutes. When it finally stopped chewing, that was it. We never heard it walk away. It was like it had killed something, ate it, and disintegrated into thin air, or stood there and watched us. It was silent, and so were we for a long time, just listening to nothing, too afraid to even breathe. It's an eerie feeling when the forest is silent. You could have heard a pin drop. This thing had to have been huge. I can't stress that enough. A bear, we would have heard roaming about the brush afterward, same as any other large predator like a mountain lion. We have no boars in Pennsylvania, and it didn't sound like any of these things, though. I have since seen and heard the likes of those animals, and nothing I have ever heard sounds even remotely close to what we heard that night. But that's not even the weirdest part. The next morning we told my dad what had happened, and we all went scouring around the area where we heard this take place. Just inside the tree line, there wasn't a single twig out of place, no evidence of a scuffle, print, carcass, not even a drop of blood, absolutely nothing. With the amount of brush and how large this thing sounded, there should have definitely been some kind of remnants. There was nothing. So, what the hell? Was it a ghost bear? Bigfoot? Dogman? I really couldn't tell you, but I never ventured too far into the woods after that night. Weird crap happens in the woods at night. Piece of advice: when the forest goes silent, make like a tree and leave. Alright folks, I hope you all enjoyed today's bonus upload as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. I have looked at video clips in the past, and there's been 2, maybe 3, that I've sat down and really debunked. One, the video game clip. That a couple of real trail cam footage caught channels stated they were real trail cam footage, yet it was a real video game. And a couple other, 1 or 2 others. But I think that's how we have to really go about these video clips, is look at them. Don't believe them 100% at first. Like a paranormal investigator doesn't walk into a quote unquote haunted house thinking it's haunted. What do? They debunk it first. And if they can't debunk it, then they know there is a presence or some kind of spiritual essence there, right? That's what we need to do with these video clips. Like the little boy that had a Dogman mask on, running around chasing his older brothers. You could clearly see that he had human hands, with human skin showing. It's just, there are too many video clips out nowadays that I believe are planted to make our community look bad. And I'm not just saying our community. I don't mean just the channel's community. I mean the whole cryptozoology community. Even some that, I don't know or have never met, that are serious about this. Those video clips ruin and make all of the real people who are 100% invested in this community look bad. And I don't think these videos should exist. And I believe they are planted by some, I guess, unseen power. Maybe the government. Maybe a kind of small fraction or faction of the government. Excuse me. I don't know. But anyway. I hope you all enjoyed today's upload as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. Guys, your support is what makes this channel so special and what makes it continue to grow and go, and it is truly appreciated. All the information you guys share with me on a daily basis, I learned so much from you guys. It's truly amazing. Please stay safe, happy, healthy, and ever vigilant, keeping an eye on your family, your children, your pets, your friends. These creatures are real, and I really do think that there is a unseen, whatever power, force out there trying to really humiliate this community. The community as a whole. We need to stop it. I think it's to hide the fact that these things exist and they are attacking humans. They don't want us to know this for whatever reason. You can speculate on what it would be. Tourism, paper, this, that. We don't know. It's all speculation. But it's true that they are trying to hide these attacks from us. God bless you all.